Next up, we have another pseudo class that's often used to trigger animations, which is focus. So my little description here is that it triggers when an element receives focus. And you might be wondering, what does that actually mean? And if you read the docs, it doesn't necessarily make it that much clearer. But here on MDN, it says that the focus pseudo class represents an element, such as a form input, that has received focus. It is generally triggered when the user clicks or taps on an element or selects it with the keyboard's tab key. So there's this idea of something having focus, which is not exactly the same as something being clicked always, which is kind of confusing, which I'll get into with an example. For now, let's let that be. So in this example, I'm selecting all inputs, just like I did with the hover, where I did all divs when they're hovered on. This time, all inputs, or any input that has the focus state. So if a user clicks in the input or uses the tab key to navigate to that input, showing that it has the focus of the page, make the text red, show that the user is currently using it or they're currently focused on that input. So back in CodePen, let's add a simple input. Let's do it after the paragraph. We'll leave it as input type equals text. Here we go. We have a beautiful looking web page. So this has focus already when I click on it. We're not styling it on our own, but by default, this is the kind of outline effect you get. Depending on the browser you use, it might look different, but this is the browser default focus style, because it's important to show that something has focus. Otherwise, it's very confusing. If you can't see what input you're working with, it would make for a very bad experience. But we can override that, of course, and we're going to. Not that we're going to improve it very much in this case, but when we do input focus, let's make it more obvious. Let's do background again. Let's make it green. How about teal? I like teal. Save. All right. So it doesn't have focus, and now it has focus. Now it doesn't. So that works. As I said, you could also use the tab key. So I just hit it. It's kind of hard to tell. Now the button has focus. I'm using the tab key. Now I'm on the CodePen page, and I'm cycling through. So let me start over here. Okay. I just hit it again. One more time, hit tab. It has focus. So I can do that with tab or clicking. You'll just have to trust when I say that I'm using tab. And when I go to the button, this currently has focus as well, but nothing's happening to it because we didn't style it. So let's do that now. So I'll select button, focus, and let's do two things. Again, it's not going to be pretty, but let's start with the border radius. So we'll make more rounded corners. Let's do 10 pixels. And then let's also do background color. And I'll do a hex this time. So just showing you, you can stuff this with multiple things that you're changing or styling, not just a single background color, of course. So now I can tab over. And now that button has focus. It's turned green and it's rounded. But as soon as I tab away or select something else with focus, it goes back to that boring old state until I hover over it. And that's pretty much it for focus. We have one more pseudo class that we'll take a look at, which is active, and then we'll move on to actually making prettier animations.